What's up everyone, ATRon here with another Hearthstone video, and today I'm going to be going over the deck I used to hit Legend with on EU, and I hit it last week, a couple days ago. But yeah, I mean, it's just an Aggro Shaman list. I saw Kolento using this list about a week ago on stream, and he was doing pretty well with it. So I basically just used his list. It's a little... you add the Azure Drake instead of Sir Finley, and then the reason that you do that is, well, I mean, at least for me anyway, it made a lot of sense, is because there's a lot of synergy with the totems that you have as a shaman, and if you use Sir Finley, then you don't have that anymore. Sir Finley can provide like a lot of other good things, but personally, I liked the addition of the Azure Drake. Had some good synergy with the Spirit Claws, plus like the all the spells that you're using, like the portals, and all the burn, like the Lava Burst, the Jade Lightning, Lightning Bolts. But yeah, I mean, basically this is the list. In terms of like a Mulligan guide, you know, you typically just want to get your 1-drops, especially against other aggro decks. Like if you see a rogue, if you see a warrior, if you see a shaman, you can almost safely assume they're going to be aggro on ladder. They probably are going to be, and then you probably want 1-drops because of that. Weapons are good too. And you usually, and obviously, look, if you have a 1-drop, you know, you can look for like a better curve, you know, like you can look for like Tunnel Trog into Totem Golem, or Tunnel Trog into Jade Claws, Small Time Buccaneer into Jade Claws, things like that. So that's basically it. You know, and I'm going to provide some gameplay footage that I have from my stream, and then like that'll be following this segment here. And basically, you know, you guys can see me play some games in action, and it's basically just, it was actually like my last like 6 games that I played to get to Legend on EU. So anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoy it, and hopefully you know, this helps out a bit. And that's going to do it for me talking about it. So you guys can enjoy the games now, and hopefully you guys have something to gain from watching it. Alright, so we're going to be getting into some games here, and I'm going to be commentating the games and my thoughts, as I did in some of my previous videos. And in this match, this is a mirror match, I believe. So, as in, we're both playing Aggro Shaman, as opposed to a mid-range or control. We're both aggro. So I decided to keep the Small Time Buccaneer and the Jade Claws. I was definitely considering keeping the Lightning Bolt. It's pretty good against Trog, but off coin, it's not as good. If you were going second, Lightning Bolt is definitely a lot more powerful. But we decided to get rid of it here. And we get the Tunnel Trog off of the Mulligan. So I'm debating between whether I play the Small Time Buccaneer or the Tunnel Trog, because they both benefit pretty nicely from the Jade Claws. But ultimately I decided to go with the Tunnel Trog because it's a little bit stickier, and we can have a little bit more of a swing turn potentially with patches in the future. So he plays a South Sea Deckhand and goes face with patches. And then this turn, I could play the Small Time Buccaneer this turn, but I decided to play the Jade Claws instead. It's a little bit debatable. Yeah, I mean, I could have potentially have gone Small Time Buccaneer there, but I did want to get the weapon out. So I think we could have gone either way, and it probably would have been fine. But I think the claws, having the weapon was a little bit nicer. So this turn I could play the Small Time Buccaneer, but I think hero powering is a little bit stronger. And we want to save the weapon for something a little more valuable than just a 1/1, so we just trade 1/1s there. And then next turn I was thinking of going Small Time Buccaneer into Feral Spirits. He ends up coining out Feral Spirits, and he had to coin it because he was overloaded from the Jade Claws. And then he kills off my Searing Totem in doing so. So now this is a really nice time to get patches out. We do lose the weapon, but we are able to develop a 1/2 and 2 2/3s, because we're gonna kill off one of the wolves, and then one lives. If we would have left it, then we would have been kind of weak to Maelstrom Portal, because then he could have killed off both of our wolves and patches, and then left both of his wolves alive at 2/1s. So definitely want to make that clear there, as in killing the wolf off, since we could. Since he's overloaded, he plays a Flame Tongue, kills off one of our wolves. This was a very nice top deck, so just want to use our health as a resource to clear off some of the minions. And, you know, that way we protect our board. And, yeah, we can exchange a little bit of life. In some situations, you definitely want to use minions, but in this case, we're pretty healthy. We took 4 there. We were at 25 or 21. Still pretty healthy, and he's only on 5 mana, so it's much better play because of the health state. If we were lower, then he potentially could have burned us with burn spells, so then you would want to trade your minions. But there, you just take the face damage. So he's playing a Doomhammer list, and we are not. So he takes 4 from the wolf there. And yeah, I mean, at this point, you know, we realize he kind of wants to race and like play the board control game. So we just slam the Drake and just go face for 9. Put him at 12. And then we also develop the Tunnel Trog just to curve out, because most aggro shamans really aren't running Lightning Storm. So, I mean, even Spell Power Portal isn't that big of a deal. I mean, it would have killed off our Buccaneers, but it's fine. So he responds with Deckhand Flame Tongue and also the Small Time Buccaneer, and then he kills off our minions, and then both of our Small Time Buccaneers, and then we just top deck Lava Burst and kill him. So I mean, pretty nice game for us. I would say that like a big part of it was just taking over the board control, and we were able. I mean, we did draw really well that game. Like, to be completely honest, we had double 1-drop plus a weapon, and then we drew in another weapon in a very timely fashion. And our curve just rounded out really nicely, but basically we expended our health pool to clear off his minions for the most part, unless it was like a weird trade otherwise. Basically killing the wolves with weapons, and we were able to protect, you know, our other minions by keeping our wolves alive and by killing off his stuff. That hand wasn't very good, so like we just had to mulligan the whole thing. Basically looking for 1-drops. And no, we didn't have any 1-drops in that hand, because in this matchup we want to play a bit faster, because this is most likely Renolock, and we're pretty happy about having the Flamewreathed Faceless because we can coin it out on turn 3. So if we were to draw an Overload card this turn, on turn 2 we do not, then we don't want to play it, like, because we want to save the coin for the Flamewreath. Because we could have played the Flame Tongue there, and then if we got Totem Golem, we could have played that. But we really want to play Flamewreath on turn 3 with the coin. So much stronger play. The only really counter is Blast Crystal Potion or maybe Corruption, and most Warlocks don't run Corruption. So he plays the Peddler, and probably didn't get anything very good. It's our read anyway, because he didn't snap pick anything. I guess he could be deciding between like a Soulfire and a Power Overwhelming or something, or maybe a Void Walker. But yeah, anyway, we stick with the plan. We play the Trog, and in this case, we decided to kill off the Peddler. Perhaps it didn't play around too much. I guess the biggest thing was that it saved our Small Time Buccaneer, and we're okay with the imp killing off our Trog if it does happen. But our Small Time Buccaneer stays healthy. And he does clear off the Trog and plays a Refreshment Vendor. So in this situation, we are overloaded quite a bit, but we don't really care. We're just going to go face. And I think it's fine to push the 1 damage here. Potentially plays around Ooze, because we haven't played a weapon yet, so he might Ooze on this turn. So I think hitting for 1 in this situation is perfectly fine. Plus we have like a lot of damage and burn to potentially kill him. And he just sets up a Shadow Flame play and clears our board. We could have played around that, but it seemed better to just go face, as we already had the Lava Burst in hand, and we have a lot of burst potential with the draws we've been getting. Plus the Drake gives us some refill, and he had to spend his whole turn clearing the board and didn't leave anything up either. Siphon Soul's our Drake, and that's perfectly fine. This turn, I believe we dropped we did get patches already, so off the small time Buccaneer. But we can get our South Sea deckhand to hit for 4 this turn. And then potentially we get Spell Power Totem. We did not get Spell Power Totem. But we're still going to play the Flame Tongue anyway, just to push the damage. If you give Renolock too much time, like in this matchup, then they can just overwhelm you. So, anyway, we decided to hit for 1 because we have the second clause and develop the Tunnel Trog. I will say that this is a little bit weak to Abyssal Enforcer, but I mean, if he doesn't have it, we're in really good shape. So in this case, he Shamblers a Doomsayer. We pick up a second burn spell, and basically debating whether or not to use burn on the taunt, and because he is pretty low, and we have 9 damage from hand, 10 if you count the weapon. We could do 9 damage this turn, like from the Lava Burst and the Jade Lightning. If we roll for a totem, we could only use 1 as opposed to both. So I think I end up deciding to use the claws and the portal, I believe. I think it lines up like nicely enough. And then we save the burn spells this way. No, I do use Lava Burst, okay. So we Lava Burst and then portal. And then it clears off the Shambler. And then we protect our board this way. So I would say that the reason that it was good to protect the board is that if he had Abyssal Enforcer or Hellfire, he would have used it that turn. Guaranteed. It was way too juicy of a board to not use it. So at this point we want to protect the board, because he can't deal with it. Like, he already used the Shadow Flame, and he obviously doesn't have Hellfire or Abyssal Enforcer, or he would have used it. So that was why we decided to preserve the board. And he life taps. He could have potentially have Reno here. Does only have 5 cards, and he still has 17 cards in the deck. Yeah. He did pick up a Demon Wrath off the top, and he is able to clear up most of the board with that. So it was a little bit unfortunate, but we're so close to killing our opponent that we do hit with the weapon, just because it could mean the difference of lethal or not lethal. Obviously, if we would have rolled Spell Power, it would have been a little more ideal, because we would have hit him for an extra 2 damage. But still, he had just top decked the Demon Wrath, and again, we've developed the board relatively nicely, and we hang on to the Jade Lightning as a form of reach if he does put a taunt up, and he is also only down to 4 cards. So he life taps, and he gets Abyssal Enforcer off the top. So we were correct in knowing that he didn't have it, and he's just dead. This is some minor BM, but yeah, I mean, we just Jade Lightning to the face and win the game. So I believe he had like something like 15, 16 cards left in his deck. So anyway, it worked out for us. We drew pretty well, and we played it pretty nicely. And a big thing I would say was, well, we could have let the board die with the Doomsayer in hindsight, but it worked out in the end, the way we played it. So, we're playing against a rogue in this match, and again, we're just kind of looking for 1-drops. Although we don't have a weapon, so we don't really want to keep South Sea deckhand. Rather get like Tunnel Trog, Totem Golem for a nice curve. And we already had the small time Buccaneer, as well as weapons would be nice too to combo with the small time, like Spirit Claws or Jade Claws. We end up getting the South Sea deckhand back, and in this case, I believe we decided to go with the small time Buccaneer because we have Flame Tongue, and it allows us to potentially kill off pretty much whatever like minion he would play this turn, if he plays like his own small time Buccaneer. We didn't have like an overload follow up for the Tunnel Trog, so it didn't seem like it was super necessary to do so. You could have played Tunnel Trog there though. It would have been a fine play. So in this case, we could go double 1-drop, or we could just drop Totem Golem. We're just going to drop Totem Golem. So in hindsight, maybe right there Tunnel Trog would have been slightly better. The backstab kind of wrecked our small-time Buccaneer, but it's perfectly fine. Like, we're still in pretty good shape, and we can play out some cards this turn. So in this case, I'd like to get the Spirit Claws down, and we'll play the Tunnel Trog because the Southsea can charge at any given point. I decided to get some chip damage in because some rogues tech in and ooze, and yeah, I mean, there's 3 charges on the Spirit Claws, so it seems perfectly fine to go for the 1 damage. Plus, any damage that we do also does a crap ton to them, because they don't have, well, obviously, but they just don't have any healing. So in this case, we're just going to play the Flame Tongue and the Deckhand. So we're going to go face for 8, and then we play the Deckhand and trade it into the Tomb Pillager. And then we decided to hold the weapon just because we have the Drake on the next turn for guaranteed spell power. We probably would have held the weapon anyway, but because he didn't play like Ooze or anything. However, it's debatable if he would have done it anyway, just because he probably wants to coin out Tomb Pillager regardless. So he coins out a Drake, and we just play our own Drake in response, and we go face for 11, so we put him to 4, and we're in extremely good shape here. If he does kill off our Drake, we don't care too much because we have Blood Mage, like to activate our Spirit Claws, that is. And we don't have any bursts from hand, but I mean, we are in extremely commanding position at this point. Like, it's turn 5 and he's at 4 life, so you know, it's, yeah, we've done really well this game. So he uses a lot of burn here to clear up our entire board, and in the process, he actually keeps his Drake alive, which we don't really care about that much, because he is at 4 life, and obviously a bit of a lucky top deck here because we pick up Jade Lightning, and then we drop the Thalnos just for fun. But yeah, I mean, you know, that's why this deck is so powerful. There's a lot of like good early game that you have. We could have drawn like in a slightly different order. We probably would have won that as well. But yeah, I mean, the deck is just extremely powerful, and it's favored against pretty much every single deck that you play against. Not all of them. Like Dragon Warrior will give it some issues, and like Control Warrior as well. What else is there? Priest will also give you some issues too. And then Reno can give you issues if they happen to get Reno or draw like really nicely, but it's kind of random because, you know, 30 unique cards within the entire deck. So in this case, we could keep the Claws. It is debatable, and I could decide to keep the Claws. It's just it's nice to have a weapon, like especially against another Shaman. So I think it's fine, and we're also on the coin. If we weren't on the coin, we probably would have mulliganed it, because I'd rather have a 1-drop. But in this case, we could coin out the Jade Claws if it looks like a good target to hit, or if my opponent plays something that's a good target to hit, like a small-time Buccaneer. And yeah, so this guy, I believe, was playing some interesting deck. Like I think he's like a N'Zoth Shaman or a Control Shaman of some sort. And we did pick up the Spirit Claws off the top, but and it is debatable of which one you'd rather do. But in this case, I think Jade Claws is slightly better, just because it answers the minion immediately, and we wouldn't have had to have played like Deckhand plus Patches to get to kill it. We could have also just equipped Spirit Claws and passed there. That was another option, but yeah, I mean, it felt pretty good to develop the 1/1 and the weapon. So now we have the follow-up of the 1-drop, and we're gonna use the Jade Golem to clear. That way we save the weapon, and then yeah, we hit to the face for 3. It doesn't play around a ton, but I think that if you're going to trade in like something between a golem or a patches, I think trading in the golem is slightly better. Just because, like, if they're both 1/1s, just for whatever reason, if like patches came back to your hand or something like that, it's better than better to play a patches 1/1 patches from hand than jade or 1/1 jade golem. If something crazy were to happen, but yeah, that's really all I was playing around. So here we got 2 mana, pretty simple play. We're just going to use the portal to kill off his jade golem and the jade spirit. And then we're going to, one of our feral spirits goes down to 1 health, but we don't mind too much because we already saw a portal, and we have a healthy feral spirit. So he actually uses a jade lightning to kill off one of our our healthy spirit. And we pick up a flame tongue. So if we roll spell power here, which we do not, we definitely would have face tanked this, but we didn't, so it is what it is. But in this case, we're just going to use the chicken, and we play around weapon destruction and Harrison a little bit by attacking face for 1. We could have held the claws though, but it seemed fine to just poke for 1, and yeah, he uses a lightning storm. He's playing I don't know. I think he's just playing Jade Shaman actually, and then yeah, that's basically his turn. So we play Aya on curve, and we don't attack the healing totem obviously, because if we hit it, then it heals up to full and doesn't really do anything. It's a waste of a weapon charge. Hitting face for 1 doesn't seem that good, and he didn't play any weapon destruction. So that card's like most likely Hex, the one that he just pointed out, and it ends up being Hex, but I mean, just because Aya is a really good Hex target. And we have a ton of burn in hand at this point. So I mean, if we add it all up, we got 12 damage from hand, and if we roll spell power, we had 15. So if we could have rolled spell power there, I would have hit face, because if we could get spell power again, then he's basically just dead. And we could lightning bolt the 3/3. That is definitely an option. And he actually did have the ooze. But being this close, it just felt more correct to hold the burn for a potential just like burnout turn. And he ends up leaving this frog up, which is actually going to come back. Like, it ends up coming back to bite him because the frog ends up hitting him for 2, which it matters in this game. So we did get a little bit lucky here that he decided not to clear the frog, but I understand like why he didn't. Now this, on the other hand, was really interesting play. I guess he felt really safe with the Jade Chieftain, and at this point, I pretty much know that we're not getting through minion or weapon damage again this game. So I feel like it was a really solid play to hold on to the burn. And had we rolled spell power there, we would have almost won, but not quite won. And at this point, we know that we are 2 damage off of killing him, and we decided to use the Jade Lightning, and I ended up lava bursting just because I had the mana, but I didn't have to use lava burst. I could have saved the lava burst, and in fact, I believe I should have saved the lava burst thinking back on it. So this is a slight misplay because we lowered our outs slightly. Because if I would have saved the lava burst, then spell power totem would have also been an out. But I didn't save the lava burst. So we ended up picking up lightning bolt, which was pretty lucky. We're able to kill him from hand. But we definitely should have hung on to the lava burst and just used the Jade Lightning last turn because of how expensive it is. And again, like I said, because I mean, technically speaking, we could have used the lava burst and not used the Jade Lightning, but basically, it wouldn't have mattered too much. Just keep one of them, because then you could have got the 2 damage from the spell power. Thalnos would have also been lethal, and then I think we still had Azure Drake, so I think that was also an out. So I think that's actually why we wanted to use the the Jade Lightning instead, because we would have been overloaded if we used Lava Burst. So anyway, yeah, should have saved the 2 burn spells there, but it ended up paying off that we hung on to the 2 burn. In this case, you know, new game, new Shaman. We end up hanging on to some 1-drops here. We got the Small-Time Buccaneer with like double weapon follow-up, which is pretty solid, plus the coin and a lightning bolt. And he skipped his turn 1, which is a pretty big deal. So he ends up following up with Totem Golem on 2. And in this case, I'm looking at triple 1-drop, because we can develop the Trog, lightning bolt the Golem, develop the weapon, and hit him for 4. We take 3, but we clear his board. So we also overload our Trog for 1, so it sets him at a 2/3, and I believe this was the most optimal play because of that. So he's overloaded now because I'm playing the Totem Golem. So we could potentially, like, Jade Claws might come out here, but we don't mind too much. And he ends up using a portal, which is really interesting. And he actually got a really nice roll, if I do say so myself. It's kind of irritating, but it is what it is. You do get a healing totem, and because of that, I just had to go face. He can still kill off our Small-Time Buccaneer, but at least now our Tunnel Trog lives. So he plays Flamewreathed Faceless and kills off our Small-Time Buccaneer, and he definitely misplayed because he should have killed it off first, and now his Flamewreath is at 6 life. But at this point, like, we had the Feral Spirits in hand. We also have the Southsea Deckhand, so we're just going to ignore the Flamewreath and just go face, because like his face is just wide open, and we had already done like a bit of damage to him anyway. Plus we have a second weapon in hand, plus a burn spell, so it's just correct to go face in this situation. And that 7/7 is probably not going to hit us for another turn or 2 anyway. And he kills off our one of our Feral Spirits and lightning bolts our Trog. In this case, it's debatable of using the Jade Claws or not, because we could maximize damage, but we could also get spell power, and we do. So a bit of a fortunate roll, and again, we're just gonna push damage to the face. We have a weapon to follow up with, as well as the Jade Lightning. So we have 6 burst damage from hand. So if our Southsea Deckhand lives, then we would have lethal, and if we draw another burn spell, like Lightning Bolt, yeah, Lightning Bolt's lethal in this situation. And he's basically we're basically forcing his Flamewreath to trade with our Southsea at that point because he's so low. So we can't kill him, but we could put him at a really low state. But I don't think that that's correct, just because he could taunt up, and we don't have any other burn. So we're just going to clear the board with the portal instead, and then we can hero power and then develop the Jade Claws and hit him for 2. So now he has no board, and we've developed some, not like too threatening to minions, but threatening enough to where his life total's at. So, you know, it works out for us in that sense, even though they're 1/1s. And then he follows up with the Feral Spirits. Now this hit actually like cost him the game on the spot, because I don't know what would have happened if he didn't do that. Because now we can just go right over the top and Jade Lightning. If he left the 1/1 alive, then we would have had to have traded both our weapon charge and all of our minions for just the wolves, and we could have done 5 damage to his face. So that hit actually cost him the game on the spot. We actually wouldn't have been able to kill him otherwise. So slight misplay from him, but we do capitalize on it, and yeah, and win the game. So pretty nice, pretty nice. And obviously we've been on a pretty nice win streak here in getting the legend. So yeah, things have been going our way. We've been drawing pretty nicely, and again, just want to mulligan for 1-drops weapons with the 1-drops. Yeah, and we're able to queue into a very favorable matchup and I've played this matchup on both sides a ton this season already, because I actually got to Legend with Pirate Warrior on NA, and then got to Legend with Aggro Shaman on EU, so I kind of know how this goes already. Now, in this case, I could play any one of my 3/1 drops, but I think ultimately we end up deciding on, I think it's either the Trog or the Claws. Yeah, we go with the Claws, because he could coin War Axe. That's like the best possible play if we drop Tunnel Trog. So we put out the Spirit Claws so that we can potentially remove whatever he has. We could have got punished by Ooze, but yeah. We did get pretty lucky here because Patches was in his hand, so we know what two of his cards, or one of his cards are. And this turn, we just want to clear up his board as best we can. So we do that by playing the Tunnel Trog and Lightning Bolting the Small Time Buccaneer. And we do that because instead of playing the Small Time Buccaneer, we get the Overload bonus on the Trog. Plus, it's a bit more resilient to his weapon, because obviously he has the Rusty Hook equipped, and then we force him to break it and play the War Axe. So it was very smart of us to play the weapon first in this matchup. And now we don't really care too much about our guy getting killed off, because it means that he's having to burn a weapon charge on our Small Time Buccaneer. And yeah, we're fine with that. So we don't care too much that it feeds the axe, and then he uses Patches to trade into our Patches, which we knew he had that. In this case, we roll for spell power before we play Blood Mage, because I think we would have played it regardless, but you could have potentially debated whether or not it was correct to play it. But I think you should play Blood Mage even if you did roll spell power in that situation. Just for the draw, and yeah, this turn he just passes. So I mean, this is a fairly straightforward game. Like this is a bit of a stomp at this point. So we swing with the weapon, and then play the Trog and re-equip a second one. It overloads our Trog, and we get a 1/1, and we have a new weapon set up. If he had Ooze, he totally would have played it there. I mean, I guess he could go for some next level play where he didn't. So I think it's perfectly safe to equip the second weapon in that situation. That was my read anyway. So he plays the Horse Rider and uses a Heroic Strike to clear off our Tunnel Trog. In this case, I want to kill off this Horse Rider, so we don't really need the spell power. I mean, we do have it for Lava Burst, and we do get the Lightning Bolt, but I kind of wanted the card, so I decided to use that instead. And then I decided to use Face here instead of the 1/1, which we could have used the 1/1 because it did trade with it nicely, hung on to the weapon. But I do think, at this point, I'm thinking that the 1/1's going to be able to connect for more damage than the 2 damage that the weapon charge would have. We do not get to see that, though, because he decides to concede to us, and boom, we get Legend. So pretty smooth 6 games. We did draw very well, but we also played it very well on top of that. So some key things to note is that in an aggro matchup, you typically want to equip your weapon as early as you can to clear off their board, as you saw in these games. And obviously, yeah, you're mulliganing for nice curve, 1 drops, Small Time Buccaneers, and Tunnel Trogs, Totem Golems. Obviously, throw Patches back every time, and then and yeah, so that's basically it, everyone. So hopefully you guys had something to gain from watching this, and you enjoyed watching it as well. And I will see you guys next time. Hopefully you all beat Legend. Later.